Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today we are joined by Andrea Berenfeld, local agent here in the greater Charlotte area. Andrea has been full-time helping people buy and sell real estate for 5 years. She got into it in 2020, but prior to that has over 30 years of experience working with a large national new construction builder. So very smart real estate background here. In that short amount of time, she's been able to help 88 families buy and sell real estate, and she ranks #1 in her office with an office of 50 agents plus. So very quick success in her career as she transitioned to the actual process of buying and selling real estate for families. So Andrea, welcome. Happy to have you.
Thanks for having me. You're making me blush already.
Well, cool. We'll get into it. We want to spend some time talking about the local Charlotte market, what's going on there. So what are some trends you're noticing in home prices in the greater Charlotte area here? We're recording this at the beginning of September.
So at the beginning of September, so the numbers aren't out yet, but we're still seeing continued growth in average sales price, which is catching a lot of people off guard. When it comes to buyers right now, our market is really starting to stabilize. We're slowly seeing more and more inventory come on the market. I think we're at 3.3 months overall. So it is a buyer's market much more so than a seller's market, which seems to still be lingering in a lot of sellers' minds, and we can get to that. But yeah, things have shifted, and I think that there's been a reset in mind, in a change of mind, the way that you're looking at everything. And I think just a strong conversation so that everybody is able to really understand what is happening in the Charlotte market is critical, because things have shifted so drastically.
So would you say nowadays it's much more normal for negotiations to happen? Buyers have choices, those type of things.
Yeah. So I like to say that buyers always have choices. That's a big thing. But they're having the opportunity to actually take a breath and determine which choices are absolutely best for them, because there are going to be more and more. And I say that because a couple of years ago, a buyer had, 45 minutes to make a decision if this was the house for them. And then they really needed to buckle in. And, that's really not a good way to go into purchasing sometimes the biggest purchase of your life. So I like this now, because for buyers, and especially first-time buyers, they really do see that they have options. Things can truly be walked through with them very clearly. And the decisions are being made on a much more thoughtful level.
Awesome. So that covers the buyer side. What do you see with sellers, right? Are sellers just, you speak to 3.3 months of inventory. That's obviously great. That's giving more choices. Of that inventory, how much of that do you think is sellers just posting a number and hoping they get it? And how much of that is sellers actually willing to negotiate with the buyer and make a sale happen?
So there's a couple of different levels to that.
Yeah.
I think right out the gate, sellers are still enamored with what was, and they're hoping that they may be on the tail end of that and still be able to capture an opportunity. So when I'm having those conversations, we're talking about ranges, and we talk about what a different spot in that range can mean from a logistics standpoint and a timing standpoint. But I'll be honest, many times they're like, can we just start a little bit higher and see what happens, and then slowly creep it back? And then that can be dangerous as well, because it's sitting on the market a little longer. They get a little bit disheartened, and they want to know what's wrong with their home. There's nothing wrong with their home. It's just that there has been a market shift, and what was is no longer in place. And so we have to shift the way that we're doing everything. So from a seller standpoint, I'm still seeing a lot of hoping, and maybe mine will be the one to still have multiple offers, and it'll go within a week. And I'm not really seeing that. I'm seeing homes sitting a little bit longer. And then also, depending upon where in the Charlotte market, homes are sitting even longer. So there's some, when you're inside 45, you're inside the Beltway, you're closer to Uptown, you're closer to Myers Park, you're in South Park. Those homes are moving quicker, even at a higher price point. They still need to be priced very thoughtfully. but that's such a desired area. And then a lot of the homes that are sitting 60 and 70 days, which right now is not uncommon, is a little bit further on the outskirts where more inventory may be bunching up. And an example of that would be Waxhaw. So
how do you set the expectations with the seller, right? You got into real estate, it was gangbusters. You put, you put a sign in the yard, you'd have 100 people come through and you'd have 30 offers to choose from. And maybe someone who bought a house in that environment is now looking to sell, right? Maybe they've had a couple kids and it's time to move, whatever that might be. How are you keeping sellers in the right mindset to say, like, hey, actually, it's not uncommon for a house to sit 30 or 60 days before you actually sell it?
So that's such a great question. And the way that I am most comfortable with that is by providing the facts. So I will pull statistics, and I'm always a month behind, but I pull the statistics, I highlight what's going on in Charlotte, and then we can also take a look and see what's going on specifically in their neighborhood. And then we can drill down and I can highlight for them how many homes are on the market in your neighborhood, how long have they been on the neighborhood, how long have they been on the market in your neighborhood. We can drill down to see the number of days, how many price reductions, if any, have been taken place. And so coupled with the thoughtful conversation directly with them, what is the most important reason for your move? Are you just tired of your home and you want to downsize and you've got some pliability? You don't, everything is not firm, but you can move with the market. Are you relocating? Are you about to have a baby? Is it just become too heavy of a lift and you just have to get out? Everybody has a different reason. And I think understanding their need, coupled with what the market is actually showing, not from my opinion, but from a factual standpoint. And then I do intersperse that with personal transactions that I've seen and certain stories and how long things have taken. We're able to come up with something that's going to work well for them, with the understanding that even if we're doing everything properly and everything is priced properly and we're staging the home and the photos are just absolutely dynamic, it may sit for a little bit longer than what you're hoping for. So I think it's just really setting expectations, understanding what their needs and wants are, and coupling that with some hard facts so that they don't think I'm just throwing something out at the wall and hoping it sticks.
Right. So very, very important to find out the emotional why and then tie it to facts to come up with a good pricing strategy for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
Fantastic. What would I think a lot of people have maybe gotten used to a higher interest rate environment. It still weighs on people. Affordability is still a big concern. What advice would you have for buyers that are worried about interest rates right now?
Well, again, I think I said this earlier, but my favorite word is options. And that isn't limited to the services that I provide them or where they may be moving to or doing. However, I have to have a strong partner with me when it comes to lending. They are much smarter than I. And there's always options in different programs as well. So what I say to them, and many times when you're talking to, let's say, a first-time home buyer, they're hearing the noise of the news. Then they're also getting the opinions of parents, siblings, friends. So there's just all of this stuff coming at them. And it's difficult for them to determine what is an opinion and what is factual. So I say to them, as we're starting this process, the most important thing that you can do is speak to an expert, share with them what it is, your goal is, what you're looking for. And then they're going to be able to provide you with feedback and options. And sometimes there are programs out there that I have absolutely no idea about because that's my partner's specialty. And they're going to be able to provide insight into either new programs that have just come to the market, to their firm, things that maybe aren't even so new, but I have absolutely no idea. So I'd like to get them with someone that I consider very trustworthy, and that their values are in line with mine as it comes to my clients. And that's the most important thing. So circling back to what you asked about the mortgage rates, yes, it's a big number, but 15 years ago, I would be clamoring to get, 6.5%, 6.3%. That's a great thing. The days of the 2%, gosh, who knows when that's going to happen again, if at all. So this really isn't such a bad number in this time frame. And you have options if it's a little high for you, number one. And number two, in the future, if you lock into this number, you have options to bring it down again. So this isn't an end all be all thing, and it shouldn't be looked at that way.
Awesome. Yeah, I think the important part is, right, you get in, you start to get some principal pay down, you're getting some appreciation. I think the latest numbers I saw where they're still looking, if they kind of annualize out growth for Charlotte's still projected to kind of get 3.5% to 4% appreciation this year. So when you look at that in an extended period of time and you stack that on top of each other over a 5-year period, you're getting a really nice return by buying the asset.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a part of the conversation as well. Those are normalized returns. 12% year over year is absolute insanity. It can't be sustained, and it's just not real. So what we're seeing now is normalized. And you know what? We're not going backwards. We're still seeing incremental growth, which is going to be a benefit to their bottom line.
Yep, no doubt. Awesome. In relation to interest rates, right, Andrea? If we look at any kind of hidden opportunities, maybe that not everyone is thinking about when writing offers on homes right now, how can a buyer potentially use their offer to lower their interest rate?
Oh, that's a great question, because the first thing a buyer is going to go to is that they want to lowball the offer. They want to bring that down. Something that they don't always consider is that they may have a better opportunity if we put together a thoughtful seller concession request. Because what that's going to mean for them is they may be able to buy down that rate. It's going to help them with closing costs. There's just a lot of different variables that's going to open up more opportunity for them. And it's when you look at an apples to apples comparison, seller concessions versus just cutting the price of the home, 9 times out of 10, they're going to save more monthly if they go the seller concession route. So the longer homes are sitting on the market from a buyer standpoint, they understand that they can ask for things comfortably, because I've had buyers say, do you think they'll respond to our offer? Which is just, yeah, of course they're going to respond. They may not hit, they may counter, but they're going to respond. And you know what? It's a fair ask.
Right.
It's a fair ask. And seller concessions is definitely something that is leaning on the buyer benefit right now.
It's so interesting because we went through a time period during COVID where I'm not sure we saw one contract with seller concessions, and upwards of 80% of the contracts we're looking at today have some sort of seller concessions associated with them, or someone's getting through an inspection period and they're getting $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 in seller concessions there. So yeah, I agree with you. The math would agree with you that if you're paying cash, ask for the lower price. But there are some opportunities there where if you are financing, a $10,000 seller concession might save you $200-$300 a month on your monthly payment, compared to $10,000 off on the purchase price might save you 60 or 70. So right. I think that's a great opportunity for people to consider and lean on their agent and their lending partner to say, hey, what would this look like if we went this route too?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Cool. Well, let's pivot a little bit. Let's talk about your process for how you work with your clients. So what does that look like? How do you define great service from Andrea to your clients?
Great question. Well, you know what? I always start with a face-to-face. And I've been fortunate enough that I've only done one Zoom face-to-face. I've always been able to actually meet them, which is lovely. And then we really walk through all, depending upon typically on the buy side. Let's go on the buy side first. But I walk them through everything that goes into the process. And that's where I highlight options, and that it's important that doing this does not need to be stressful. And that when they're working with me, it's not just me, but they've got a whole slew of people in their corner to make this a very seamless and smooth process. They may not always see everybody right away, but they've got everybody pulling for them. But education is, and it may be my age and that I have 3 kids, but adults sometimes are afraid to ask those questions that they don't know because they think they believe they're expected to know the answer. I'm like, how could you possibly know this? This is not in your lane. This is outside what you do. I don't know anything about electrical engineering. So all questions are welcome. And, we just do a deep dive. We walk through the inspection process. I break down due diligence, earnest money, how we're going to look, how we're going to start. We're going to start big and we're going to dive in smaller. And something that's really funny is we always start with everything that they want. This is what they have to have. And quickly, when they see those things that have been presented to them that they asked for, if this is making sense, they quickly realize it's not what I want.
Right.
And then we're able to shift. So I also help them get to where they need to be, which is great. But no, just educating them on the whole process, walking them through everything, and just giving them that room and that leeway to ask any and all questions so that they're really comfortable with it. And at the end of the day, to remind them that this is a fun process and it's an exciting process. And let's just make it that way. We don't have to be tense.
Awesome. Yeah. So lead with the education, figure out exactly what's most important. And I think it's funny you say that, right? Because you start with this big long list and you go, well, there's 2 homes on the market that meet everything, right? So then we start to narrow that list of like, what's really important for what we need in a property, right?
But then they, you know what? They get there on their own.
Right.
I help them, but they get there on their own and they quickly even realize that, okay, could we start over again? Out of this is what's really most important. And what's good is we always land on something that's perfect for them.
Awesome. I think a lot of times, especially first time home buyers and heck, maybe someone, it's been 10, 15, 20 years since they bought a house. They forget about all the people that are involved in making a real estate transaction happen. So they think a lot of times, hey, I'm going to work with Andrea and buy a house. Me and you both know there's a whole lot of people that go into making a home purchase happen. So when you think about your inspectors, your insurance agents, your roofers, your lending partners, how do you go about vetting those people? And then how do you feel comfortable enough to make a referral to one of them from there?
So I love that question. That's great. So honestly, when I first started, and it was such a new world for me, I really relied heavily on other agents and their recommendations. And then I've test driven all of these people. And if I am going to recommend anyone, 9 times out of 10, I've used them personally because there's certain, it's my reputation, it's my name, and I want to make sure that these providers are going to give them the service that I would give them or that I come to expect. So, when I started out, I may not have known 100% who they were, but by year 5, I have a nice list, and the majority of them I have used for myself personally, and that list shifts, but it's just the kind of service I want my clients to come to expect. Somebody that I would use myself and trust with my home.
My guess is after this video comes out, you're going to be inundated with referrals for your wallpaper guy or gal. With your background. So
people do love that wallpaper.
So someone buys a home with you. You've mentioned this earlier, and all the people you've helped buy and sell, you've also helped kind of multiple times, right? So how do you continue your relationship post-closing on their home, and how do you stay in touch with your clients after closing?
So I feel that I'm a very relationship-driven agent. Have I had some that maybe I'm okay that I don't have a relationship with? Yeah, 100%. But I've been so, so fortunate in the people that I've met, and I like to call them friends. And so, gosh, I just try to remember them all the time. And it's not a duty. So, for example, today I came back with, I had lunch today with a friend. She's not looking to move, she's not looking to sell, but I worked with her on the purchase of her home last year. So I try to stay in touch with everybody on a very personal level. The first year, I send out quarterly gifts. I remember everybody on their birthdays, husband, wife, and kids. Um, holiday cards. And then I text with them at least once a month, if it's not just to check in and see how they're doing. And don't forget, I'm here if you need anything, if you need anybody, what's going on. And then some of the conversations are more personal. I just had one of my clients, which is really neat. I think this is really neat. She asked if she could list me as the emergency contact for their daughter's school.
Nice.
To me, I'm so dang sweet, right? That I'm just like, yeah, gosh, of course. But so those are the kind of relationships that I'm cultivating. And I really, at the very, very beginning of this new career of mine, I learned the Ninja program. And it was all about, giving before getting or asking and really making a friend. And that has served me well. And it has not been hard for me to stay in touch with everybody, because I'm not I'm doing it because of my business. I'm looking at it because I enjoy communicating with these people.
Awesome. And as an agent, right, you're spending so much time with them from the time they meet with you for the first time to the time they close on the house. You're either going to become friends or you guys are going to ditch each other at some point. So then at that, it's, becoming friends with those people over that time period, it almost just makes it seamless transition post closing.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I feel very fortunate that I can say I've made some really good friends through this, and also couple friends. So my husband and I go out with them as couples, and it's just really, really lovely.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to ask it. No one likes this question, but if we're going to put a past client in your seat, what do you think they would say about Andrea?
Oh, okay. That I'm very communicative. They
Okay.
will, it's been really lovely because clients ask me how many clients I will carry at a given time, because they always think they're the only one. And that can be interpreted two ways. Either this woman really needs to get her act together, or they're feeling the love and the care of just them, and they feel that it's just this one-on-one relationship. And that has always been my goal, is I want them to feel that I am here for you 24/7. It doesn't, and I tell people, if I am not responding to you via text, there's a good shot that I'm in a location where I can't, or I'm asleep. That is it. And I try to get back to everybody as soon as I can. That's very important.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, your numbers don't lie. I don't think you need to get your act together. So I'm gonna go with you make everyone feel like they're the only client you have, and that's what they're the most important thing at that very moment. So, well, cool. Let's have a little fun. Let's do a couple of rapid fire questions here. We're not out showing homes. We're not at an open house. What does Andrea like to do for fun?
Oh, that's great. Tennis.
Tennis. All
Tennis
right.
and our dog Marley. He's a greyhound, so like to walk with him.
Two things that'll keep you very active.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What's your favorite restaurant in Charlotte?
Copper Indian.
Ooh, good spot. Good spot.
On East Boulevard. Very good.
Great spot. All right, let's see if you'll be the first guest to answer this question, make everyone happy. Will the Carolina Panthers make the playoffs this year?
God, I hope so. You know what? Let's hope so. We absolutely deserve it as a city.
Well, you're the first person that hasn't answered with an emphatic no, so we're making progress.
I'm hopeful. Let's put it that way.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Andrea, thanks so much. We appreciate you being here and your insight in the market and how you work. How can people get in touch with you?
Oh, my phone, easiest way. And like I just said, I will get back to you right away. 704 713 5501.
All right. And what's the best email for you?
A Berenfeld at bhhselite.com.
Awesome. And we'll make sure we get the spelling in there for everybody when
Yeah.
when we get this posted.
Thank you. I appreciate that. This has been fun. I appreciate it.
Thanks a ton, and would love to have you back on. Maybe we can dive into the new construction market next time you're back on.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Awesome.
That'll be fun. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Andrea.
Okay. Bye.